Fish and Hex. We are on our second video in the beginner guide series to saltwater aquariums, and in this video we're going to talk about equipment. So let's get into it. The tank, obviously you need a fish tank to start, so let's get into that. Now there are two different types of fish tanks. You can have a drilled tank, which basically is bulkheads that you drill the tank, you put bulkheads in it, and then the bulkheads allow water to come in and out of the aquarium, either through an overflow or a return line. So, and then you also have a tank that's not drilled. Now, my personal experience is, my first reef tank, I had it hang on the back overflow, and then I upgraded that to a do-it-yourself PVC overflow, which is hang on the back. Not much of an upgrade, honestly. To save you the trouble and the hassle, forget that shit. Don't bother with it. Just the pure fighting gravity, getting water over the rim of a tank is just bad luck. It's not the question of if it will fail, it's the question of when it will fail, and I guarantee it will fail when you're not home. I guarantee that will happen. So I recommend you go ahead and drill the tank. Just get the drill tank, get the overflows, bulkheads, and just do it the right way. The ease of mind and the sense of not having to actually worry about the tank overfilling and then flooding your house and destroying your carpet, causing an electrical issue, could potentially cause a fire. Just the thought of not having that be an issue is very, from having to deal with it before to not having to deal with it anymore, it's definitely a relief. So just go ahead and nix the hang on the back overflow. If you have one now, just go ahead and stop this video. Go ahead and empty your tank and throw that shit away and drill your tank. Just don't even bother. Continue on with the video. If you are using one of those, just stop now, because you're gonna jack your shit up in the end, trust me. So, drill tank, get one. Now there's a couple options for the type of drill tank. You can have the one that has the stand pipes. Basically there's a plastic pipe that goes all the way down on the inside of the tank, and the tank is drilled through the bottom. Okay, this allows water to overflow, go down the back of these stand pipes, and then essentially drain into the sump. Or you can do what I did, which I drilled the back of the tank, put a low profile overflow, and then ran the water behind the tank. It's up to you how you want to do it. I like the low profile look. I'm not a big fan of the big stand pipes, the black pipes in the reef. I just think they take up too much room and they're just ugly. But that's personal preference. Alright, let's move into the next aspect of it. You need to have a sump. There's no way around it. You need to be able to put your equipment somewhere. Now I've seen people use all sorts of stuff to filter their tank. I've seen people use canister filters. It's just not a good idea. So if you're using a canister filter, I'm sorry, but you need to throw that shit away. It's just, you're not going to see success with a canister filter. Now some people are going to be mad and be like, yeah, I have a nice beautiful tank. Well, there are different degrees of success, and anybody who's rocking an ultra low nutrient system with a SBS tank is not running a canister filter, guaranteed. Alright, so as for the sump, I recommend the bigger the sump the better. I currently use a 55-gallon tank on a 125-gallon display. That allows me to have a pretty decent sized refugium, which takes up about half the tank. I have room for my skimmer, marine pier block, return pump, all that good stuff. You could either buy a sump or you can make your own with baffles. I suggest get a used tank and make your own. What's important about the sump is make sure you have enough room in it, so when the power goes out and the return pump is no longer pumping water into the tank, you have enough room in the sump to compensate for the amount of water that's going to drain back in. Now you will be using the check valve on the return line, but they're not always foolproof, and also you need to be able to compensate for what's actually flowing in the tank. So make sure you have enough room in your sump for the water, and you'll be good to go. Alright, the next piece of equipment, which I find to be the most important, which took me a little while to come to this conclusion, is the skimmer. Just spend the money. Get a good, high quality skimmer. Get a skimmer that's rated for double the water volume that you currently have. So I have a Curve 7 on a 125. I believe the Curve 7's like 200 gallons, something like that. It's close to that. But I love this skimmer. It works great. I've used all sorts of skimmers. I've used the one with the air stone. I never had good luck with those. I've used eBay skimmers. I've used hang on the back skimmers. It makes a huge difference on the water quality. So spend the money on a skimmer. So if you're gonna short money on something, short it on a power head or something. Don't go out and buy, you know, MP40s. Go and buy JBOs and then use that extra money to buy high quality skimmer. Just do it. It'll be worth it in the end. Trust me. All right. Now the next piece of equipment you'll need is a return pump. Now get a good quality return pump. For a long time I used the mag dry pumps. I used the mag 9 for a long time. That was great. It actually, I traded it out when I moved to this new place and set the system up again. The reason why I did that is the pump seemed to be heating up. I replaced the propeller a couple times, but it just seemed to be getting too hot. It also used a shit ton of power. So I switched out, got the JBO DC6000, and I love it so far. The key to this is you have to keep them clean. So I take mine out once a month and I scrub it down. I run vinegar through it, and I clean it out. It's important to keep it clean because, you know, JBO is not the greatest quality, but they are very affordable and they do work if you take care of them, as with most equipment in the reef tank. So get yourself, I recommend a DC pump. They use less electricity. Your ability to ramp up and control the speeds with a DC pump is much better. Power heads. Power heads are very important. Now, depending on the type of reef tank you have, if you choose to have an SPS tank, it's good to have different types of power heads. Now, I recommend wave makers because you can control the type of wave that you have in the reef tank. Also, you can have them on what we call else mode, which basically the mode changes throughout the day, all the time, so you have different wave patterns. Now, I currently run 4 wave makers in this, and they're controlled through my Apex, which allows me to add surge modes, different types of waves at different times of day, timers, all that good stuff. So the waves are continuously changing in this tank, 24 hours a day, and the water quality is better when you have a lot of water movement. You can get detritus off the bottom of the tank, mixed up into the tank, into the water column, and then overflowed into your filter socks so they can be cleaned. So water movement is very important. So spring for some decent power heads, but like I said, if you're gonna spend money on something, put it on a skimmer and have power heads like MP40s and stuff like that be down the road. Alright, so let's get into the last piece of equipment that you'll need for basic equipment, and that is a heater. Now, I always run 2 heaters. It's basically a fail-safe. One will fail eventually. It's just the way it is. I've had several heaters fail over the years. They just do. So get 2. I recommend get 2 that are exactly the same and rated for your current water volume. Okay, and basically set them to the same temperature and let them go. I run mine on the Apex, so I can't tell when one fails, but if I start seeing declines in the temperature graph, like it's starting to lag like below average from what it usually does, then I know that one of the heaters might not be working properly. So then I take it out, check it, and see if it's working, and then usually one is dead at that point, and then you just swap it out for a new one. It happens. So if you're not using a controller, a reef controller like an Apex or something like that, I suggest you spend the money on a good quality heater that has a good thermostat inside. Don't go out and buy shitty eBay heaters because they will fail, and they'll probably fail on and then cook everything in your tank. It just happens. Usually stuff like that doesn't fail off. That's just the way it is. But other than that, guys, that is the basic equipment you need to start a saltwater aquarium. I hope this was helpful. If you have any questions, just let me know. And our next video will be about cycling the reef tank, getting it set up, the location, all that good stuff. So stay tuned, guys. All right, later.